Most business owners will hit the same wall. The business will get to a certain size and then it will stop moving, and they will double the effort, they will change their strategy, hire someone, fire someone, run some ads, and nothing seems to shift. And then from that point, people end up convinced that it's the business's problem, or it's the market's problem, or the client's problem, or someone else's problem. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's not in any way, shape, or form. Every single revenue plateau that I have ever seen will come from the same root, right? The business outgrew the version of the person running it, and until that person catches up, right, the business will never grow to the point that it needs to be. So what I want to do today is walk you through the 7 shifts that will have to happen inside of you as an operator to be able to move the business on from that point. Nothing to do with tactics, nothing to do with funnels, that's all to do with internal things to do with you as a human being running and operating your business. So step number 1, and it's the most important one by a country mile: identity before income. So a lot of people will stay the same revenue because that is where they've scaled their identity to. So people want 50k months, but they still see themselves as a freelancer. They still see themselves as a person who is answering DMs and doing tasks like they're doing 5k a month. So the business is never going to outgrow the way that you see yourself, because if you see yourself as doing low value tasks, then that's going to be a low value business. If you still see yourself as an operator, then you will naturally just cap your business, because you will find reasons not to hire people. You will find reasons to do the job yourself, and you will stay in the exact same space because that is where your identity lies, because you're not willing to trust other people. And what you need to understand is that income will follow identity, and it is never the other way around in any way, shape, or form. You've got to be the person that runs the bigger business before the business itself will even show up. That's the big shift, right? Everything else in this video from that point is a downstream of step number 1. Step number 2 is selling the old self. Like, genuinely, it's something that people don't talk about that much. Scaling means killing a version of yourself. It's a tough ass process, right? So the version of you that got to 10k per month was probably a doer, a grinder, like a perfectionist, someone who absolutely hammered everything personally. And that is the reason that you've got a business, and that's the reason that you're in the spot that you are. But that version cannot run the bigger one. That version will bottleneck the bigger one, and it'll bottleneck anything that you try to do from that point, because a doer can't lead a team, right? And a grinder will burn out at 30k a month, and the perfectionist will just bottleneck because we're not even willing to hire in the first place. So you've got to grieve that version of yourself. Like, you've got to properly get rid of leaving that shit behind, and you can't be a lone wolf, and you can't be the person who does it all, because the value is not just about the output, it's about the scalability to what you are doing. And if you don't grieve it, you're going to keep falling back into it, and everything will start to feel uncomfortable, and it will get uncomfortable because you're simply not growing because of it. Step number 3 is tolerance for visibility. Probably the biggest one that I struggle with the most. A bigger business basically means that you will have more eyes on you, more criticism, more comparison, and more people watching every single move that you make, both online and also in your community. So a lot of business owners will hit a visibility threshold, but a lot of the time they don't even know that they had it. And the moment that they get bigger, they almost get quieter, and they post less and they hide, and they stop putting things out there as much, and they stop making bigger moves, because there's a bigger tolerance of visibility with both, again, online and community. Because a lot of people can't handle being seen, they can't handle being judged, and they can't handle being misunderstood. And a lot of the time when you start to scale a company, you will move into that standpoint because you're in a different position to what other people are doing. It's got nothing to do with an offer, it's got nothing to do with content, it has got all to do with the fact that they just can't handle the pressure of being seen at a larger scale. So you've got to deliberately raise your tolerance level, right? You've got to post more, not less. You've got to show up bigger when you feel your worst. That's the hard work with that step. Step number 4 is to look at decisions over deliberation. So at small scale, you can afford to think things through, right? You can make the perfect choice, you can sit on it for a week, and you can basically just take your time, right? At higher scale, that will kill you, genuinely straight up kill you. So decision speed becomes basically a bottleneck. Like, it's not a decision, it's just speed. You need to do shit as fast as humanly possible. So business owners who scale, like for example with 70% confidence decisions, will 100% make more progress than people who have to wait for a 95% threshold, for example, because they will learn so much more in the process faster and adapt and overcome. You cannot operate and scale with certainty, you need pace, right? This is something that I always say to my clients. Most of the decisions that you you are deliberating on right now and you're overthinking, like, and you're needing that perfect answer, they don't even need an answer. Like, they just need to trust that you will fucking figure out a way to find it out, genuinely. Step number 5 is to look at delegation as self-trust, right? A lot of business owners will think delegation is about trusting other people, hiring the right person, and finding someone who's good enough to be able to hand it off to in the first place. And straight to the point is that does make sense. It's not about that in any way, shape, or form. Delegation comes back down to you trusting yourself before anyone else. Trusting that you can hire well, trusting that you can train clearly, trusting that your systems are strong enough to hold the work without you just being sat there micromanaging and babysitting every single part of it. So the block is almost never that they can do it as well as me. The block is I don't trust my own ability to delegate this cleanly. You've got to change from being the doer to the manager to the delegator. That's a tough thing to get through. Reframe the situation. Delegation is not about them. It's about you backing yourself to build a business that runs without you being in every single part of it. Step number 6 is a commonly known one. So comfort with discomfort. So there's a big lie most business owners will buy into, that they get to the next level of discomfort, stops because they've got more money or more opportunities. Like, it doesn't in any way, shape, or form. It's a shit-eating competition. The 100k per month, right, has a bigger, different problems to a 10k per month problem, right? And it's bigger, right? It's more complicated. It's more complex. You've got more people. You've got more moving parts. And when you've got more people and more moving parts, then there's going to be a lot of things that will start to buckle over time. And you need to be able to stay on top of that. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. So the owners who will basically, in essence, try to eliminate discomfort, right, they will just fall straight away, right? Pain is the price of the next level. Like, it's not evidence that you're doing it wrong. It's evidence that you're moving. Like, you're going to be in pain. Step number 7, right? Build the long-term game plan, right? You need to understand that this is not about short-term thinking at this point, right? It's the enemy of scale, right? Scale will reward any types of compounding assets. So relationships, in terms of systems, in terms of brand, in terms of marketing, in terms of ads, in terms of spending, right? You will only see the compounding element if you actually look forward and start building out a 3-year vision, not a 30-day one, not just a reactive one in the moment. And a lot of business owners will stay stuck in this initial starting point, right? And you need to start to think bigger. Like, the moves that you are making are the things that will compound into being much greater rewards in 12 to 18 to 24 to months and months down the line, right? And they will get to a point of just going, right, well, I've not achieved my 30-day targets, because it's never about your 30-day targets when you start to scale. It's about how those 30-day targets accumulate into the quarterly target or into the annual target, or to build it on from that point, right? So that's basically the consensus of what I wanted to kind of get across today. But the main thing that I want to kind of get across is, like, to go to the next level, none of it is about working harder. You've already been working hard. Like, a lot of business owners that I work with on my one-to-one Titan programs, like, they're already at that ceiling. Like, they're already at the max level of effort and hours that they can run. And basically, the next step is not about just grinding harder. It's about building a different version of yourself that can run and operate that company. Like, that's the real work. That's the psychology of scale. And if you've enjoyed this YouTube video today, obviously it's more of a bit of a mindset one, and I love talking about mindset. Please subscribe. It'd be great to have you on the channel. And if you want to find out more about what we do at the Coach Consultant, because it's not just about AI and personal branding, we support the human being as much as we do the business, then you can find that information out in the description in my bio. But just as a little bit of a take home today, I want you to really start to think about the identity before income, right? Where are you operating at right now? Not financially, right? Where are you operating at right now with your psychology? When you start to ask that question, you will start to unlock the next step that you need to take in order to move your business forwards, because it's about your identity before income every single time.